research examines factors that affect responses of buying firms to adverse supply chain events. Excellent supply chain management research has investigated how inter-firm variables such as power and trust affect how buyers and suppliers interact after supply disruption. However, individual level variables that underlie these firm actions are underexplored. Recent supply chain management studies have started to analyze the role of managerial cognition, so whether a manager uses more rational or intuitive decision-making processes. However, one factor that remains almost unexplored in supply chain management is the role of personality traits. The goal of our study was therefore to understand the effect of managerial personality traits on firm actions and firm outcomes in responses to different types of adverse supply chain events. We used a mixed method approach for the study. First, we collected qualitative data by adopting a so-called process tracing approach. We used ethnographic methods such as observations and interviews to analyze processes within single events. It was only during this stage that it became clear to us that dark personality traits, those traits that are typically perceived as socially aversive, such as psychopathy and narcissism, actually play an important role in purchasing managers' reactions to adverse events. After the within-event analysis, we conducted a between-event analysis. Finally, we collected survey data to improve measurement of certain variables, and we formalized the between-event analysis by conducting a fuzzy set qualitative comparative analysis, or FSQCA. FSQCA combines qualitative and quantitative research methods and basically analyzes joint effects of combinations of factors instead of direct effects of individual variables. The key finding of the study is that dark personality traits can actually be useful in critical supply chain situations. Specifically, we found that managers with psychopathic traits who cooperate with a supplier to handle an adverse supply chain event, such as an unexpected price increase from a supplier during negotiations, can obtain positive firm outcomes. These managers are able to overcome their natural instinct to punish the supplier for their actions, and they decide instead to cooperate with the supplier and to use their manipulative features to achieve superior results compared to managers without dark personality traits. Future supply chain management research should dig deeper into the role of personality traits in general. To date, there are very few supply chain management studies that account for the role of personality traits, although general management studies suggest that these are actually important for firm outcomes. Second, researchers can build on our findings to examine further dark personality traits such as hubris, authoritarianism, and paranoia. Finally, we urge supply chain management research to use more configurational approaches, such as FSQCA, to uncover novel findings and explain extant ambiguous findings in supply chain management research. Managers can benefit from our findings in three ways. First, we advise all purchasing managers to engage in training aimed at behavioral code shifting, the ability to adapt behavior in socially acceptable ways to match the circumstances and people in a given context. If purchasing managers are not only aware of what they do on autopilot, but they can also actively overrule what they do on autopilot, then they can build flexibility and strengthen the resilience of their firms against adverse supply chain events. Second, CPOs should take stock of managers' dark personality profiles and use these for staffing purposes. They might staff managers with dark personality traits who can override their autopilot on adverse events that require supplier-centric actions. And on the other hand, they might staff managers with fewer dark personality traits on events that require buyer-centric actions. Finally, we found that firm actions that are internally integrated between functions achieve better outcomes. We therefore urge purchasing managers to align their actions with other functions instead of trying to respond to adverse supply chain events by themselves.